I bought my house at 20. I lost it at 22. I was building banking software right before the banking collapse. I was there on Bank Failure Friday when the FDIC pulls in their big black SUVs and kicks down doors. People remind you very quickly what you do not own. I was about $150,000 in debt, and I'm no degree. I'm unemployable. The economy was the worst it's ever been, and I just felt like it was just over. You know, my whole life was over at 22 years old.
Let's kind of start from the very beginning. How did you start the agency?
I'm the world's greatest failure. I was building, I don't know if you want the long story or the short story. I'll try to truncate it.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think this is maybe relevant too, because agencies go through these iterative processes. Nobody knows what they want to be when they grow up. So I was building software, and I was actually doing okay building software, but I was building banking software right before the banking collapse. I was actually in the bank that brought down Lehman Brothers. If you watch The Big Short, I was in the bank that movie's about. They never say the name of the bank, but I was there on Bank Failure Friday when the FDIC pulls in their big black SUVs and kicks down doors. And so instantly, like, my entire entrepreneurial world collapsed. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, dude, because I was 20 years old. I was making way more money than I should be making. And I bought like the house on the hill, and I had the idiot's car, and I had $200 shirts, and I was always picking up the check. And people remind you very quickly what you do not own. And I did not own that house, and I did not own that car. And those things were taken from me. And I ended up in this little trap house apartment going to Costco on the weekends, eating free trouts, and that's how I was eating. And it taught me, I had to build my business from the literal ground up.
How old were you then?
I bought my house at 20. I lost it at 22. So I was 22 years old and I was about $150,000 in debt, which now doesn't feel like that much. But dude, at the time, 22 years old, and I have no degree. I'm unemployable. The economy was the worst it's ever been. And I just felt like I was sitting in a gas tub of gasoline lighting matches. Like it was just over. My whole life was over at 22 years old. And I remember my laptop that I was using, it was given to me by my father's ex-wife, and it didn't have a battery. So if I went to a client meeting, I had to plug the computer into the wall in order to power it up. And I just lied. I told people, I was like, well, I live in Arizona, and if you keep the battery in your car, it'll blow up, and it's really bad. And so like I just like to bubble gum and duct tape, dude. But that was like the genesis. And because I couldn't build software, enterprise software, you get 5% up front, and then you have to float the rest. And either you float that yourself or through a loan or an SBA loan or whatever. And so the only contacts I had were in that space, and it just was no longer accessible to me. So I start trolling Craigslist for like web work. And I start doing like website maintenance, and that leads to website development. And then people start asking things like, well, how do I get my website found? And, I lie through my teeth there, and I'm like, well, I can do that. And it built up into this. And I think a lot of older agency owners started with web and SEO. That's not necessarily true for the young bucks, but web and SEO is not scalable. It segued into my agency, which was called Solutions 8. And it was called Solutions 8 because we had 8 core service offerings, because I'm an idiot. So we were doing video production and SEO and graphic design and web dev and apps and paid. And you know what I mean? Like just anything a human would pay me for. And I ended up with like 15 or 20 employees in an office, and we had a green screen studio. And it was funny too, dude, is I was making a ton of money again. So I build myself back up to where I've got like a multi 6-figure income with this Frankenstein agency. And every day was terror, because you just show up and it's like, who's going to yell at me? Who's going to be mad? What thing? Because I'm running 8 different businesses, pretending it's all one business. And so it was my business partner who I brought on. I brought him on as an employee. He ended up earning 10% of the business just out of sweat equity. And he's the one that spotted Google Ads. He's like, dude, everybody that's successful with us long-term is successful in Google first. So we started to like just use it as the litmus test. And then over time, we niched down. And then we became the world authorities in Google Ads.
I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen, or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.